Welcome to the Branding Expert Show. I am Stacie Riffert, owner and art director of Visions to Images, and I help businesses get their branding on track with my unique strategies and processes. With over a decade of experience, I helped corporations and mid-sized businesses create an unforgettable vision identity. I'm excited to have this podcast so that everybody can learn a little bit about branding as well as the entrepreneur world, because we all know how tough and rough it can be. So without further ado, I want to announce today's guest. Hey, hello everybody. Today I have on my podcast Stacie Riffert. I'm sorry, I butchered your name. I can't say it. It's okay.
You're good.
Riffert. Okay, there we go. This is the life of it. It is what it is. President of Empowered Leadership and a certified business coach, certified business coach. And I'm super excited. I've known Stacie for year, two? Yeah. Couple years in Ohio, and always see her networking, and she's just a happy overall person, loves what she does. So I'm excited to have her on here.
I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you. All right. So tell me a little bit about how you got started and where you are.
Yeah. So I spent the majority of my career in corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
I spent 19 years at PepsiCo and was really lucky enough to kind of learn from the best in the business, in my opinion. And while I was there, I had a number of roles. My favorites by far, I was the general manager of a sales and distribution center with 135 employees. We did about, $25 million in sales at the time. By far my most favorite role, because I was my place where I really cut my teeth as a people leader. And then, I also went on to hold other roles like director of sales, kind of leading the strategy and execution and customer relationship with Target, which was when we were out living in Minneapolis. And about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, we had an almost 2-year-old. We had another baby on the way, and my husband and I got asked essentially in the same week, where are you guys moving to next? And so we made a decision to move our family here to Ohio, and we followed my husband's job here. And right after our second daughter was born, that's when I decided to leave corporate America, kind of open my coaching practice, and really to kind of create my own destiny. Definitely a challenge to leave a 2-decade career in a brand new state where I didn't know anyone, with a 2-year-old and a brand new baby. But it's been one of those decisions that I've made that's been rewarding in so many ways, both personally and professionally.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many rewards, like you said, professionally and personally. What is one of those rewards? Tell us.
I think when I was making the decision to leave, one of the key things for me was I knew I needed to get back to coaching, leading, teaching people. That's where I felt like I was at my best in my career. And so being able to do that now with all of my clients, for me, is really rewarding, to kind of watch those aha moments, to watch how we are transforming businesses and transforming lives for my clients and for the people that their businesses touched. So that's by far been the most rewarding. I would also say, personally, the flexibility that owning my own business has given me is tremendous. Last year, our then 4-year-old had to have open heart surgery, right? And so to be able to take 8 weeks off and be able to stay home with her and really not have to worry about it, not have to kind of get permission from anybody to be able to do that, was really gratifying for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is so powerful. I mean, I'm sorry you had to go through all that, but that's definitely like a perk to having your own business, just being able to kind of take that time away and be there for your family, because it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure. And it was, yeah. I mean, 8 weeks, I mean, in corporate world, who knows what would have happened in 8 weeks? I mean,
that's right.
It's like, good luck, right? Things are changing every day, and it's like, oh.
Well, and that's when I realized too that I had picked the right clients to work with, right? So everybody was super flexible. We moved everything virtual way before we were going virtual all the time like we are right now. And everybody was just willing to go with the flow and to do what I needed to be able to be home with her and support her.
Yeah, and I think that's important, right? Like making sure that we have those clients that understand and they're just not demanding in that sense, and that they understand and they care and they're there for you, and you're there for them.
We're there for them too.
Yeah, that's exactly. So important, because that's a lot of what builds relationships personally and professionally, I've found as well. Like you just have to be authentic and be real, and I mean, be honest and upfront and all of that, and just be supportive.
That's right. Yep.
But what are you most excited about in your business right now?
Well, I actually think it's a really good time to be in business. I know that people are a little worried with what's going on in the economy right now, but I think there's so much possibility in what's happening right now too. And I think it's a great time for business owners to kind of test out and experiment with things that they may have previously been afraid to do. So the things that kind of scare you that you've been thinking about. But I also think that we're in this kind of unique space talking about family, right? Where we're starting to recognize the need to acknowledge that there's an integration between work and life. And trying to find what this delicate balance is of doing it all. And it's making us reevaluate our priorities. It's making us reevaluate what's important to us. And so I've taken some time as we've kind of had this little slowdown at home in my business to expand the repertoire of services that I can provide to my clients. So I recently became certified as an executive coach in addition to my business coaching certification. And so that is allowing me now to serve not just small business owners who had been previously serving, but now emerging leaders and mid-level leaders in bigger organizations. And for me, it's just exciting because I'm expanding that reach, but in continuing my personal mission of helping business leaders run successful businesses, but also having that time and space and energy to be good parents and spouses and friends and volunteers and pick up hobbies and all of those other things that are important for them.
That's a lot. That is good. I'm sitting here trying to think about it and I'm like, wow. So yeah, I mean, I think that's right. Like I always ask people when they become friends on Facebook with me or whatever, I do messages and I'm like, so how is your business doing during COVID, and how's everything, and questions like that. And sometimes people are just so negative.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think there's a lot of that, but I think your mindset is really important, right? How you look at it and what your outlook is. I truly believe that what you think about is what you attract. And so if you focus on the negative and you focus on all the things that you can't do or that are not working right, well, that's going to multiply. And when we start thinking about what we want, that's what I think ends up sort of starting to materialize.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, when people talk about COVID and what they're going through, and I mean, when people ask me, I'm like, it could be better, it could be worse, but it's okay. Like, I'm here, I'm thankful, I have business coming in, I could do better, I could do worse, right? And that's the same with personal too. Like, I could be doing stuff differently, I could, whatever. And it's like reevaluating everything. Like, I started to see what I relied on. I guess I'm like, oh, I need people. You know what I mean? Like, we're thankful for people and stuff, but at the same time, we're thankful for all of the things that we used to do that we can't do right now. So it's like reevaluating and trying to see if you can find new hobbies that you couldn't do before, regardless if it's like for your kid, for you, for your business, whatever, and really thinking about, and then kind of also with your business in a sense, like thinking about, okay, what can we change? What can we adapt? And all of that. I mean, you've nailed a lot of that in your mastermind that you've been putting on each week, where we kind of go through and talk about cutting expenses, what are we changing? Can we do this? Can we just reach out to people and basically say, hey, how you doing? Like, why aren't we doing this more often during a pandemic, Right.
right? Because we get busy, right? And I think that for me is one of the things that I hate the most is when you say, hey, how are you doing? And people reply, busy, right? I'm busy.
Yes.
And, there's good busy and there's just busy because we've filled up our time just to fill up our time. And I want people to be really intentional about what they do with their time. So if we're working, let's work and let's make the most out of that. But then let's also have that space to be able to just kind of relax and do the things that we want to do.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Good. So if you could give any advice to anybody, whether they're like starting in their business, thinking about it, if they want to become a business coach, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, good question.
I know.
So, I think there's a couple things. One is I would challenge you to write down and kind of write out what you want your life and your business to look like 3 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Make sure that it includes both business, personal, because I don't think that they're separate from one another. They need to work in harmony in order for you to really feel like you are energized and you're enriched and you're happy with what's going on in both aspects of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, then you can kind of create that plan. When you're thinking about then what your business needs from you, then you start diving into thinking about how you reassess or how you fix your business model. Right? Are you focused on the right things based on what you want from your business? Then start looking at the processes and automation within your business. So those are the things that help you be able to step away.
Mm-hmm.
The more that you can have things kind of work on their own without you there, it means that you also have to make less decisions. And I feel like so often we get caught up in this decision overload.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of reevaluate, do you have the right people working on your team, whether they're working directly for you, whether they're people that you surround yourself with. Do you have the right capabilities that are surrounding you? And that includes yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And I said earlier that I kind of was expanding my skill set as we've been home in quarantine. And that's a challenge for everyone else that's listening too, is are you bringing to the table for yourself, your business, your clients, all of the skills that you need in order to be successful? The second piece of advice that I would give is don't be afraid to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're going to make mistakes. So the key is to learn from them, to pick up the pieces, to move on. So, my challenge is always to take a chance, do the things that scare you, right? Say yes to all those opportunities that you aren't sure that you can do, because those are the things that are going to make you grow the most when you feel challenged and when you feel a little bit scared to go forward and do it.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like when people talk about failures, I'm always like, I never really failed. I learned. So it's not like a failure, but at the same time it is, you know what I mean? But that word is just so like, you can't say you failed because you got up and did it again, or you learned from it or whatever. So that word is just so like, I don't know. It's just you.
It's got such a negative connotation to it, right?
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I watched my oldest daughter learn how to ride a bike this spring, right? And you think about all the times that they like get up and they fall down and get up and they fall down, and you consider those failures. But when we look at it, when we're doing these things with our kids, right? It's like, hey, they made progress. They went one more house before they fell down this time. And we don't see them as failures when we see them in other people, but we internalize them so much when they're our own that I think we get scared sometimes to do things if we don't know for 100% sure that we're going to be able to do it well.
And I think that's part of like being a business owner. Like we have to take those risks and those failures. And if you can't do those, then you're not made to be a business owner, kind of, sort of, because like there's times when I have to make decisions and I'm like, why? That's a huge risk, or that's a huge investment, or huge failure. Like, I mean, you learn you learn from your clients, you learn from everything, and you're like, is this worth it, or am I just going to keep failing? You know what I mean? So it's like figuring it out and then changing your mindset, because you're like, well, it wasn't a failure. I did what I did and I'm learning from it for the next time. So
One of
There's,
the first times that I tried to put on a public event where I was trying to get people to come in and sign up and register for a workshop that I was doing. I put it out there, we marketed it for like 6-8 weeks, and nobody signed up. And so for me, you know, you can look at it two ways. It could have been a huge failure, right? Because nobody signed up to come to the workshop. But at the same time, it helped me change my messaging. It helped me kind of understand what my market might be looking for a little bit better, right? Obviously, it wasn't the way that I was talking about that program. But the other thing that I found that was a benefit for me was it gave me a reason to market. And so nobody else besides me knew that the event didn't go on. And so I had people afterwards asking me how the event went. And so it was, you know, one other piece of publicity for me and for my business. And so you could look at it as a failure, but the fact that other people knew about it was still a success for me.
absolutely, totally. I love that story. I hear that. I think you've told me that before.
Yeah.
And like nobody knew. My sales coach tells me like you can put stuff on social media, and if nobody responds or it's stupid or you think like just delete it, change it, whatever. I mean, you can do so much and not let people know that you failed and or whatever. You know what I mean? So there's just so many ways to work within that. Yeah. Perfect. So I have your link and I have your bio. I will put that in here. And then what's the best way for people to reach you?
Best way is to find us on our website. So it's empoweredleadershipcoach.com. From there, you can find out all about kind of our services, but also can book free 20-minute appointments. If you have questions, you know, you're not sure if coaching is right for you, that's a great place to start and explore.
Thank you. That's perfect. That's so great. That's nice.
Thank you so much for listening in to the Branding Expert podcast today with Stacie Riffert. We hope that you were able to take away some great stuff, and make sure to check out the links from your guest expert and branding expert that was on today's episode.